can happen is also so fascinating to see. And how similar their definition of good life is kind of imposed onto their children is also so fascinating because it really does differ from culture to culture, parent to parent. And so it's something that I'm often balancing with, where it's like, how much of it is it the role of the educator to simply just create the good life that the parent wants for their children, or how much of it is it to impose my own definition of a good life versus what the child thinks is a good life, having to bet. So this is something that comes up so often for me while in these educational spaces, thinking about whose well-being do you consider most and do you value most? And so
Yeah,
as a professor,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on some of that?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, how to make these interpersonal decisions is very difficult. How much weight to give to the well-being of your child as opposed to the well-being of others is difficult, especially if you've got more than one child and you've got to weigh their needs against one another. You've got your own needs, you've got the needs of other children in the class, let's say, if you're teaching them, or even if you're a parent in some cases. But I think your point there about how parents, on the whole, tend to take their own views about what's good for children and bring those children up in light of that is a very good one, I think. And I guess somebody might say, well, what else are you going to do? Right? You can only act on your own views. But what you could do is reflect upon the fact that your view of what's good for a child is just one view among lots of others, and other people will disagree with you. And although I mean, if you reflect upon that fact, there's this strange evolutionary quirk in human beings that they were very rational, and we kind of know that. Yeah, let's say I think P, I think proposition P, and you think Q, right? And I know you're just as able as I am to get to the truth. What I ought to do there is suspend judgment and say, well, I don't know which one of us is right. Um, could be you, could be me. But we don't do that. We tend to keep thinking that we're right. And I'm sure there's an evolutionary reason for that. Um, hanging around the whole time thinking about whether you're right or that there's a tiger behind that tree, whatever, isn't a great strategy. You have to keep going with what you've got. But nevertheless, I think in the case of parents, and I think this probably was true of me to some extent with our children, um, it it can be helpful to step back and listen to what other parents say about what they think is best for their children and ask yourself, well, okay, I kind of disagree with them, but is there something in what they're saying? Maybe discuss it with the other parents and improve your own view. So I'm inclined to think that discussion between people who are ready to take the views of other people seriously is the way to make progress.